exciting guest for you today. This is his first podcast. So, welcome, Tyrel Thurston. How are you?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Did I say it right, Tyrel Thurston?
Yes, Thurston. Yep.
All right. So, tell us a bit about yourself, where you are, what you raise, all the goodies.
Oh gosh. So I'm currently in central Montana, living in Great Falls, which I will only be here for a little bit longer. I'm relocating soon.
Cold up there?
No, I'm just relocating to cold. Headed east to Wisconsin here in a few months. But gosh, I raise all sorts of stuff. I used to raise just backyard stuff and was reading some stuff on Holder Reed's website, and he had said something about it costs the same amount of money to raise a poor quality bird as it does a good quality bird. So I got rid of all of my hatchery stuff and invested in exhibition quality stuff. Started with Black East Indies, and it's gone from there. And now I raise Black East Indies, Welsh Harlequins, Cayugas, Saxonies, Gray Rowans, and that's brown Africans. Working on another little Steinbacher project for geese. That's on the waterfowl side. On the chicken side, I've got partridge and white Wyandotte bantams. I've got rosecomb and single comb nankins. I just acquired this last fall some black Sumatra bantams and got started in those. Just started in large fowl buff Orpingtons. So I've got quite an array of projects.
Do you do poultry full time?
No. So on top of poultry, for the last year, I've been doing concrete for 4 years, which up here is seasonal just because it gets cold and you can't do concrete in the cold. And then I've also been in restaurant for 10 years. So I also am an assistant manager at a local restaurant. So I've been doing both. So alarm goes off at about 5:30 in the morning. Do concrete till the mid-afternoon. I get about an hour and a half between jobs, which I go as quickly through chores as I can. And then I'm at the restaurant till 11:30 at night. I come home, go to bed, and do it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotten to be too much. So I'm stepping down from the position at the restaurant and just go concrete full time, which will give me my evenings and weekends back. So I don't have to work 7 days a week and I can spend more time with the birds.
Are you taking all of the birds with you when you move?
I hatched way too many. I think I hatched about 550 waterfowl. This year I'm shooting for way less than that just because I don't want to move all that. But yeah, everything will go with me.
Wow.
We don't judge for people hatching out tons of birds.
No, that'll be next year once I get resettled.
Wow. Is where you're going already has the coops and everything ready so you can just pick up and move the birds and put them back down?
There's some buildings and stuff there, and I've got a bunch of chain link panels that I can throw up and make some pens quick. So we'll make it work.
Because moving is stressful, and then trying to move all those different birds. Wow. I don't envy you this summer.
My plan is get a hold of a stock trailer and load them all in a stock trailer, and away we go.
Sometimes you just got to do it, right? So I saw on Facebook that you had some really exciting mail not too long ago from the American Bantam Association.
Bantam Association. I got my master exhibitor from them. So,
but you got more awards that I didn't know about. You're getting them all confused.
Well, when you said mail, just yesterday, the IWBA sent out their yearly newsletter with the end of year points awards. And I won a few things there. So I didn't know if that's what you had just seen and were referencing. But in the ABA, I got my my master exhibitor there. In the APA, I actually have my master exhibitor and my grandmaster exhibitor in Black East Indies that I got last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What did you get that?
In the PA or ABA?
Let's just do both.
Do both. To get your master exhibitor, you have to have a cumulative 200 points combined over whatever you've shown and raised. You have to have 300 points. And then when you have 200 points in a specific breed, then you get your Grand Master Exhibitor. It's essentially the equivalent to the Master Breeder with the ABA does. With the ABA, I always get them mixed up. I have to think before I say them. The ABA, 20 starred wins, and it can be cumulative over multiple breeds. You get your Master Exhibitor. And then once you have 20 starred wins in a specific breed, then you get your Master Breeder.
Is it a certain time limit?
There's no time limit. I think in the ABA, there's a minimum 5-year enrollment before you can achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that might be for Master Breeder. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to look at that again. In my brain, there's something that's remembering a minimum 5-year.
I'm not quoting you on any of it. I just think it's awesome that you spend that much time on the road showing these birds.
Oh, Lord, if I put some miles on, that's for sure. Other than the show that we host here locally, which is 300 birds, the next closest show for me is Utah, which is about 7 hours. And then I go out to Washington, to Monroe, Washington. That show's 10 hours drive, roughly. And then my next closest show would be Hutchinson, Minnesota, that I've gone to, is 14 hours. Portage, Wisconsin's 18 hours. If I go down, like last year, I went down to Shawnee, Oklahoma for nationals, and that was 22 hours. So yeah, when I go to a show, it's not a short trip.
You'll have a lot more close to you once you move.
Oh, I am so excited about that. The Portage, Wisconsin show is going to be about 45 minutes away. Yeah, there's several shows that are going to be within a few hours. And then the big shows like Ohio and even going down south, they're only 14 to 16 hours, which for me is nothing right now. And it'll open some of those East Coast shows up for me too. Like I'll actually get to go to Congress and the Bath, New York show and some of those other bigger waterfowl shows. So I'm pretty excited.
Good. All right. So today we're going to talk about Saxony ducks. So I had to do some reading on them because I just wasn't familiar with them. And they're a nice, big, heavy breed, right?
Yeah, they're a wonderful breed. And I've only been raising them for a couple years. I have a good friend of mine that's been helping me with them and mentoring me with them because it's a breed he's passionate about as well. And so he's let me run wild with them. And yeah, they're a big breed. They're in the heavy duck class. Your old drakes, the standard calls for 9 pounds. Young drakes are 8. And then your old ducks are 8 pounds. Your young ducks are 7. But to my knowledge and stuff that I've heard, there was a lot of discrepancy on whether they should be medium duck or heavy duck, just because they don't look as big as some of the heavy breeds like the Ben and the Rowan, because they're not as loose feathered. And so I think I'd have to look at my standard again for the exact wording, but side by side, they're supposed to appear smaller than a Pekin or a Rowan. But when you grab a hold of them, they've definitely got some substance to them.
We'll be right back.
Looking to rock some seriously comfy gear? If you love chickens and you're all about that fun style, then Chicken Box has got the perfect t-shirts for you. From quirky designs to classic looks, their shirts are as comfy as us chicken tenders deserve. They even have a subscription service so your coop doesn't get bored. Head over to PoultryNerdsPodcast.com and click on Chicken Box to get your comfy shirts and support the podcast.
What drew you to them that makes you like them so much?
Have you ever seen a Saxony? They are, in my opinion,
They're neat looking.
They're beautiful. People might get on me because I might use some of the wrong color terminology, but the females are almost like a butterscotch color with the white eye stripes and the white throat. And then your drakes have that almost like steel gray. They have a blue gene is what gives them the color, but the males have that gray head and they've got a lighter colored body with some of the claret and stuff up around their shoulders.
Yeah. I think the head on the drakes are nice. That gray color, it's different.
Yeah, it's straight. I know we all say gray in the poultry world. It's a blue, but yeah, it's easier just to say gray. So in fact, I think the standard calls it a soft powder blue gray.
How long have they been in the standard?
Oh gosh, I don't remember exactly when, but I will tell you, I actually have my standard sitting right next to me. They were admitted into the standard in 2000.
Yeah, I didn't think it had been very long, really.
Yeah, so it'd be 25 years this year. To my knowledge, I believe Holderried was one of the first people to import them because they are a European duck that was created over there. And then I believe it was Holderried that brought some of the first ones over, but then there was no new genetics brought over. And so we all know in breeding poultry, when you continue breeding the same bloodlines over and over, there was a big reduction in size. And that was one of the biggest complaints, especially in show halls, that people would say with the Saxonies, they're just too small. They were too small. They were too small. And so that's why I say I've been working with a friend of mine. We did an outcross to another breed, which I'm going to keep secret, but it's dramatically helped in their size. I had some young ducks last year that at 4 months old were at 8 pounds, which is what an old duck's supposed to be. So we definitely got the size back in them, which is great. And when you pick them up and you grab a hold of them, you got a duck in your arms. That's for sure. There's no littleness to them anymore, at least in the ones I'm raising. But yeah, I love them. And I'm trying to be a huge promoter of this breed to get them going again and get them popular. And I'd love to see more people with them, showing them, because visually, I say they're a quadruple threat. I know in poultry world, we usually talk about like a triple threat as terms of production, meat, and then exhibition. But the quadruple that I'm going with is personality. I raise Harlequin ducks. My Saxony every year are the first ones to start laying, and they lay just as well as my Harlequins do. I'm almost an egg a day from them. One thing I have noticed, especially this year with them, is I'm getting a lot of double yolked eggs, though. A lot of really big eggs from them. But like I say, they lay really well. They're a great butcher bird. We've butchered some out the last couple of years. Like I say, you got a bird that's 8, 9 pounds. That's a good butcher. And then exhibition, they're a very pretty, visually stunning bird. And then, like I say, that fourth one is personality. They are one of the sweetest personalities that I have out there. And even with minimal hands-on, they're really friendly. They're not really wild in a cage when you show them. And they're just easy to work with.
I was going to say,
does
when
make
you
it
look
great.
online about them, and a lot of the stuff that I read, there's a lot of people that they raise them for pets because they are such docile birds.
Oh, absolutely. Like in the spring when I'm hatching, I'm always looking to cull stuff early because it's less stuff I have to feed. And I've definitely had a lot of families local to me. Here in Montana, we don't have a lot of people that raise exhibition poultry or waterfowl. And so I've sold a lot of them to people around here as pets. And I have people that message me and tell me how much they love them and how sweet they are. And sometimes they'll send me videos of the ducks hanging out with them or out of their hand. And yeah, no, I know there's a lot of people around here that I've sold some to that have them just as pets.
So I'm assuming they're that heavy that they don't fly.
They don't fly, no.
Okay. Are they loud?
Honestly, my Saxony are really quiet. They're definitely not like a call duck.
You can pick those out in the show hall in an instant.
Yeah, no, my Saxony are pretty quiet. Even here around the place, I don't hear much from them. Even the females are real loud.
Even at feed time?
Even at feed time, especially with my heavy breeds though, I like to just keep food in front of them all the time. So they just have free choice. So they never really give me those hungry screams, but I guess when they have run out of food a time or two, they've let me know.
Okay. So I'm trying to think, somebody were wanting to keep ducks and they had just a small plot of land, then friendly, and they don't fly. They're not going to be loud, so the neighbors won't complain. And you're saying they lay more than the Welshes? Because I have Welshes and they're like laying machines out there. So it's hard.
I don't
to
know on a numbers basis if I'd say they lay more than the Welsh, but out of all the breeds I raise, they definitely lay as well as they do. Like I say, they're the first bird. Every year, they're the first breed I have that starts laying as far as my ducks go. And when I go collect eggs, I've never actually put pen to paper and counted, but as a mental note, I collect pretty much an egg a day from them. I will say they fade off in the summer faster than the Harlequins do. The Harlequins will lay longer. But in the middle of summer, I personally am tired of dealing with eggs. I'd rather just everything stop laying eggs because at that point, I just want to feed babies and get ready for fall.
I understand. So is it a large white egg?
Yeah. They lay a big white egg.
All right. So I wanted to ask you, I don't want to get like super in depth into breeding, but just a quick conversation where you said line breeding the same breed over and over and the birds were getting smaller. Is that, I know that's a kind of a point of contention sometimes. Is that a selection issue or is that a genetic thing? Or both?
Oh gosh, I'm not a geneticist. I just know what I experienced and learned. But no, I think it's a bit of both. I think line breeding is a very good thing and a very beneficial thing. But when you're breeding, and it depends on how you line breed too. If you're breeding a mother to her son and a father to his daughters year after year, no matter what you're raising, you're going to start having issues and you're going to see size decrease. I know like in some of my bantam duck breeds, everybody's told me, if you want to fix your size, just breed tighter, meaning line breed closer. And see, I'm not even opposed to when I find traits that I like, selectively breeding a brother and sister together for a generation. But then personally, when I come that close, then I like to go back out into a grandparent or even a distant aunt or uncle, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the Saxony, it was a genetic thing. And I think people are also afraid to outcross to other breeds. I know like in the Wyandottes, people will sometimes breed to White Rocks to try to get a stiffer tail in their Wyandottes. And then come back in. And I think some people get afraid to do stuff like that because then it's a personal thing. They just don't view it as a Wyandotte anymore. But if we all go back, most waterfowl all goes back to the mallard. You know what I mean? All these breeds we have been created at some point in time by crossing other stuff and selectively breeding to create another breed. Look at call ducks and all the different colors of call ducks. People got those colors by breeding other colors together. And the way I look at it is you can't be afraid sometimes to mix another breed, like my Steinbockers that I'm trying to work on right now. We're trying to create them from scratch, how they did it years and years ago in Germany. And that's where we got another duck that we bred to that I also raise here. I guess I didn't even mention him before, which is, it's fine. But I'm running two separate breeds simultaneously. And then I'm going to cross back and forth just so that I never get those super inbred issues, hopefully.
So eventually in the Saxony, you're going to have to outcross again since only one line was brought over. Do you think, or no?
Are you talking like from the first imports?
Yeah. Is it just the one line that was brought over by Holder Reed, or has there been more since?
I'm not 100% sure. I really couldn't answer that question. I do know he was one of the first people that brought some over and imported some. I don't know how many he brought or if it was one or two or three imports. I'm really not sure.
Yeah. You just got to play with them and work it out for yourselves as a breeder, right?
Yep.
You're a master at it. Somebody said so. You have certificates.
No, I don't know if that makes me a master. It just means that the ducks did well enough. It shows that they earned some points and I got an award for it. I don't think that makes me a master. I'm a student of the hobby and forever will be.
Yep, exactly. You just got to keep working at it.
That.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about with the Saxonies before we let you go?
I think we covered quite a bit of it.
Do you sell eggs or chicks or ducklings?
I'm not selling eggs or ducklings right now just because I'm trying to refine. With doing the outcross, I did sell some young birds last fall, and I'll sell some again. In fact, I actually just got asked for donations for the Hatopa show. Are you guys going to Hatopa? Not this year. So I'll be there for nationals. I'm donating this pair of Saxony to their live auction that they're doing. So maybe get somebody else interested and excited in them.
If somebody wanted to contact you, what is the best way?
Facebook. That's pretty much where I do all of my poultry communication. Shoot me a message on Facebook. That's where I do all my communication, but I'll definitely start selling some more off this year. Can't keep them all.
No, you can't move them all either.
No, I can't move them all. But this year I decided that it was just going to be a maintenance year where I just hatched some small numbers just to have a few young birds. 20 was going to be my target for each breed to hatch out. And last inventory count that I did, I've got 40 Saxony. Actually, I hatched 4 last week on my first hatch of the year. I had 9 hatched this week. Next week, I've got some more, but I have 40 developing. So I am a little over what I was planning on.
You know what? It's just
I
bird
mean-
math. It all makes sense.
It is.
It
Yeah.
happens.
But it's that feeling when you're collecting eggs. And I'm sure other people are like this, but I know I am. Every time I pick up an egg from the nest, it's that thought of this one might be the show winner. I have to hatch it. The eggs keep coming and that mentality doesn't change. So I just keep putting them in the incubator. And that's how I ended up in the issue I had last year is I was hatching. Granted, I had probably the best hatching year I ever had in my life. I think at one point, halfway through the season, I had hatched 204 or 205 ducklings out of 209 eggs.
That's really good.
That's insane. I'll never have a year like that again. But
You just have to get better at culling.
yes, some of the most successful breeders are the best colors.
Yep. What kind of incubator are you using for duck eggs?
I run a GQF cabinet. I had a friend here that was gracious enough to just give me an old pair. She gave me an incubator and a hatcher. And that's what I did the first year. And then I got a newer model, GQF. I use that. I've got a big 200 model humidity barrel incubator. I used that 1 year, but that thing is just, it holds 600 eggs and I am not trying to hatch that many birds. And it's expensive to run. It sucks up the electricity. So I haven't plugged that in this year. And then I do have an Arcom incubator as well. Because everyone says you have to incubate duck eggs on their side because they do better. I don't know. I've done both ways. I hatch them upright, just like the chickens. And I've had just as good success that way as putting them on their side. So to each their own, whatever works for everybody. But
Yeah. You've got to take your environment in and your humidity and everything else. To master incubating, you have to do it within your own environment, I've decided.
well, absolutely. I try to give people tips, especially because I've shipped out Harlequin eggs and some KU eggs. And I always try to help people through that process of hatching eggs. I've done it a lot myself. I've incubated a lot of hatching eggs and I've gotten fairly successful at it. And so I just try to help people through that process because realistically, every egg I ship out, I want them to hatch for whoever buys them. I want them to be successful and have a good hatch. And so I try to help them through the process and all that stuff.
Do you do all of this cooling and misting and all of the other stuff that you see on Facebook with your duck eggs, or you just set them?
If I have time, I've done both. My very first time ever hatching duck eggs, I bought all these eggs off eBay and had them all shipped in. Everything was developing, made it all the way right up until hatch day, and then everything died. And what I later learned was my humidity was too high and my air cells weren't growing like they should have been. So when everything started to pip, they were drowning in the eggs because there's too much fluid still in them. And so that's when I try to help people hatch waterfowl, and I still don't know if I know what I'm doing. They're hatching, but I don't feel confident in what I'm doing. I just keep doing it and hope for the best. I've tried it all. I've tried dry hatching them. I've tried misting them. I've tried not washing. I've tried washing. I don't know that it makes a difference, really. Some people swear that it helps. I've had the same similar hatch rates trying all the different methods. Biggest thing I can say is candle your eggs frequently, watch your air cells, make sure they're growing, adjust your humidity accordingly. I do keep a spray bottle in my incubator, and I'll pull them out and let them sit on the counter for 5-10 minutes. I don't sit there and time it. I just go through and I candle, make sure everything's still growing and alive. Anything that's not, I pull, and then I'll take that warm water from the bottle and I'll spray them. And I don't lightly mist them. I soak them until they're dripping wet. I mean, they're as wet as I dunked them in water. And then I just put them right back in the incubator, close it up. The humidity spikes to 98%. And I just let it come back down on its own. And that's what I do. And sometimes I forget. Like I say, I get home at 11:30 at night, and sometimes I'm just exhausted. I don't care. And I just check, make sure everything's still running okay. And I go to bed. But if I'm feeling all right, I'll pull everything out. And some days I don't even look at the incubator for 3 or 4 days. Some days I look at every day. I don't know. When I first started, I was a mother hen and I checked it every 5 minutes, it felt like. But now I just, what's that saying? It'll be what it'll be.
I did something yesterday that I can't say I've ever done before. I set a whole tray of Harlequin eggs, and they were muddy. It had rained on Friday, and they were pretty muddy. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wash these bad boys. And I just put them down in the sink and I just washed them. But I made a note on I used tape on everything, and I made a note on there that I washed them because I thought, this would be interesting if these do better than the other ones.
And if you're putting eggs in a clean environment, it'll be clean and sterile. I don't have the time for it now. But a couple years ago, I actually was taking one of the square sponges. It's a sponge on one side and a little bristle pad on the other side. I would wash in like lukewarm water, and I would scrub every single egg until they were sparkly clean. Every single egg got scrubbed and cleaned, and I set them that way. And I didn't notice any difference in my hatch rates. And I put, every incubator is different, but in the GQFs, anyone who has them, then there's that the water tray. I put about a tablespoon of bleach in my water and then put that in there. Smelled clean when you opened it up, made me feel better. I don't know if it did anything.
I used to put vinegar in mine. I've had several 1502s over the years, and I used to put vinegar in there hoping to keep those mineral deposits. I don't know that worked either.
So what I did is I have a copper. I use copper in my tank reservoir to keep out all the sludge and all that kind of stuff. So that's actually been working pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, that would work. See, in my GQF, I'm actually on a cistern here. I have to haul water here, but I'm on a cistern, and so it's city water, but I use that in the GQF and I get all the mineral deposits on the edges of the water tub. But then in my other machines that have automatic humidity, I only run distilled water through them. That's the only thing I put through them is distilled water, just so they don't deposit up and get plugged up and spend that much money on incubators. You try to keep them nice.
Yes, exactly. I super appreciate you joining us today to talk about Saxonies.
It's been great. It was fun. It's always fun when fellow poultry people can get together and talk about birds. And anybody that's interested in Saxony, get a hold of me on Facebook.
I like hearing about ducks. I like the look of the Saxonies. And one day I will have ducks.
When that time comes, you just let me know. I've got some options.
So,
All right. Till next time, poultry nerds. Thank you.
but
Thank you for joining us this week. Before you go, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you can receive new episodes right when they are released. And they're released every week. Feel free to email us at poultrynerds@gmail.com to share your thoughts about the show. Until next time, Poultry Pals, keep clucking, keep learning, and keep it exciting. This is Carey signing off from Poultry Nerds. Feathers up, everyone.